Yesterday, you posed a question to me, and you said, which high school football teams in Texas would you bet the mortgage on to win a state title in 2016?
Is absolutely something that I brought up.
It's an interesting question because you have to break it down from a few different positions. Obviously, you want to pick the team the team that is the best, right? The team that, talent is a big part of this.
Yeah.
But there's a number of other factors to take into consideration. First of all, we just had UIL realignment. That could shift everything around as well. You have to take into account what everybody's bringing back, what everybody's losing. Are there major coaching changes to take into account? What does their schedule look like? What does their district draw? What does their playoff draw look like? And then the other things that when I started thinking about this question that I took into account. One, it is a provable fact that if you have won a state title before, you are more likely to win another. That is just, if you go and you gather up all the teams that have won state championships in their history and you put them in one pile, and you have another pile of teams that have never won a state championship, the pile of teams that have won a state championship in the past are more likely to win a state championship than this pile. That's just the bottom line. That's a provable fact. That is something that is, So when you're betting the mortgage, which my wife would not approve of, but...
Well, that's what makes this fun.
When you're betting the mortgage, you have to take that into account. The other thing to take into account is the draw. You think about is what is most predictable. And I will tell you that generally speaking, the further you step down in classification from 6A down to 2A, it gets more predictable. It gets easier to predict. Now, that's not to say that it's actually easy to predict. Because if it was easy to predict, then half to three-quarters of the predictions that we have in here would be right.
Yeah.
Actually, I'd love to go back and figure that out. Crunch the numbers and see how we did last year.
Sure.
But I know that a lot of the state champions we picked started off in the top 10, which was nice. But winning a state championship, we've also talked about, requires a lot of luck, and people hate that word for some reason. It's a four-letter word,
it's the reality, man.
Both metaphorically and literally.
There's only so much you can control.
There's a lot of things that you've got to have things bounce your way. You've got to stay healthy. You've got to, whenever we talk to coaches and we say, what does it take to win a state championship? Why are you able to do that? They'll always mention, we had 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 things go our way. Right. We had a couple of breaks.
Yeah.
You got to catch breaks. So you can be the best team in the world, but if you don't catch breaks, it may not matter unless you are just so far and away better than every other team. Right?
Right.
So, that said, I picked 3 teams that I would be willing I don't know if I'd be willing to, but I would consider
you don't have a choice.
Betting
That's
my mortgage on.
The game is you have to bet your mortgage. These are the 3 teams you're going to go with.
And I'm going to start with the one you listed third on this one because that's the one I had the most confidence in. Okay? If we're going from most confident to least confident.
All right.
Number 1 with a bullet, the Richland Springs Coyotes.
Right.
Dipping down into the 6-man ranks. So last year, Richland Springs won the 1A Division II state championship, the smallest state championship in high school football.
Right.
They won it going away. They were absolutely dominant. They throttled their opponent in the state championship game. This was they were so far and away the best team, in my opinion, in 1A Division II, or at least there wasn't a team in the state championship game that took over to them.
Right.
And I talked to the 6-man folks there, Lehman Saunders, who does the 6-man stuff for our publication, Cowboy Parks, a few other guys who I really respect and know, Granger Huntress, guys that I know in the 6-man community, and they say, hey, by the way, go check that roster.
Yeah.
And if you go and you check that roster, you're going to see, one of the big stars of their team, Brian Salinas, was a senior. Okay, man, it hurts to lose a senior like that, especially at the small school level. Then you keep looking. Sophomore, junior, sophomore, junior, sophomore, junior, freshman, junior. It's so evident at that point, and those guys were telling me this, they were like, listen, nobody's stopping them next year or maybe even the year after that.
Right.
They were telling me that the sophomore class is the best class Richland Springs has ever had. Right. And that's saying something because Richland Springs is one of the most decorated six-man programs in the state. Yeah. Number one with a bullet, if I were to pick any team right now, and I would actually consider betting my mortgage on Richland Springs winning a state championship. Now, the thing that you've got to watch out for in this regard is that you have a number of teams dropping down, really good teams. Right. Kroll dropped down, Valley dropped down, Rochelle dropped down, Milford dropped down, Aspermont dropped down. You had a lot of teams that are moving around that I would be very wary of it for that reason. But I do think that Richland Springs, number one with a bullet, would be my pick to win a title next year.
Well, too bad you have to pick two more.
Okay, I will pick two more. Here we go. Ready?
All right.
Go with the Bremont Tigers.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things to like here.
Right.
One, two-time defending champs.
Absolutely.
And as we've mentioned, if you've won a championship, you are more likely to win another. Two consecutive state titles. They have, I think, a very favorable draw because they were able to get out of Region 4. We talked so much about when the realignment came out that they moved from Region 4 to Region 3. We're like, oh, wow, what a relief for Region 4.
Right.
Well, Region 4 is, I think, tougher than Region 3. Yeah. And so their move to Region 3 makes their playoff path a little bit more navigable. Yeah. But let's get down to brass tacks. Let's get down to the real reason that I think it. Because they got that dude. They got Rashad Paul.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
And in the small school ranks, in the smaller school ranks, if you've got one dude who can put on the cape, then you have a major advantage over everyone that you play. Yeah. And they have a guy, I believe he's a Texas A&M commit now.
Yes, recently.
If you have a dude, especially at that level, at the 2A Division II level, with a good amount of returning starters like Joe Williams at the wide receiver spot.
And on defense.
A big offensive lineman in Garrison Tullis, a great defense coming back. Yeah. If you've got those dudes, and you've got that dude, that gives you an opportunity to do special things. And so that would be a team that I would say is the favorite in 2A Division II out of the gate, and a team that I would feel comfortable, not comfortable, but I would think has a great chance of making moves. Now, here's the other thing, is that the teams that I think pose the biggest threat to them are either losing a lot, or they wouldn't see until a state title game.
Right.
Albany is both. Albany loses a lot, and they're on the other side of the bracket. Ira Ann, other side of the bracket. Seagraves, other side of the bracket. Falls City, losing a lot. Munster, other side of the bracket. Louise, losing a lot. Yeah. Bruni, losing a lot.
Right.
That is the so for Bremont, from an 11-man perspective, I think they probably have what I would consider to be the clearest shot and be the clearest favorite heading into 2016. I like Bremont a lot.
See, but Greg, I need 3 teams, and I'm tired of you babying around. Pick a big team, put your big boy pants on.
You're going to make me do this, aren't you?
Get a little risky.
Okay. I'm going to go 5A.
I know where you're going.
Denton Ryan Raiders. I'm going with Denton Ryan to win a 5A title. I'll tell you why. First of all, I think that they're guaranteed to go because first of all, being the 6A drop down is huge. Okay, they were a 6A program and they were a darn good one last year. Okay, being a 6A team, dropping down, that serves 2 purposes. One, you're now going to be the big fish in the small pond as opposed to the small fish in the big pond. Okay, and 2, that guarantees that they're going to go to Division 1. And Division 1 in 5A is, in my opinion, an easier path to a state championship than Division 2. Division 2 is loaded with a lot of landmines. I think that Division 1 is in their best interest. Beyond that, they bring back a lot everywhere. They bring back 7 starters on offense. They bring back 8 starters on defense. And yes, I know they lose a big defensive tackle in Ken McLaurin. I know. But they've got a great coach in Dave Hennigan. and you look at who they bring back. Quarterback, Spencer Sanders. You always want to have your QB back, right?
Oh, yeah.
He was a breakout star for them last year. I think he's going to be even better as a junior, okay? Tyreek Davis, the running back. Gabe Douglas, the wide receiver. They bring back, and then on the defense, Davis is going to play linebacker as well. Ernest Brown at the defensive tackle was maybe as good, if not better, than McLaurin last year. Delano Robinson. The other thing I like about them is that their defense is very senior laden. Okay, yeah. Davis, Brown, Robinson, Randy Gray, Thomas Wilson, Kalen Murray, Jason Gully, Toby Birch, all seniors this year. They have that senior leadership. And I think between Ernest Brown at the defensive tackle spot, Tyreek Davis is going to play both ways. You know how I feel about two-way players at the 5A level. Spencer Sanders having the quarterback back. And the drop down.
Oh, yeah.
If you need to pick a big school to win a title in 2016 right now, before we really start getting into it, I think Denton Ryan is your early favorite in 5A.
Right.
I don't feel good about it because I'll tell you, 5A has traditionally been the hardest to predict.
Yeah.
Go back and flip through your old Dave Campbell's Texas footballs, including this one.
Yeah.
Go back and flip through these and go look at who we picked to win state titles in 5A. Yeah. Doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah.
It's very hard to predict.
Right.
5A is notoriously, I don't know what it is about it, but it's very hard to predict. Even harder to predict than 6A.
Yeah.
Because generally 6A has that one dominant team.
Yeah.
And you may be asking me, Greg, what about Katy?
Greg, what about Katy?
Because that's a team that you brought up. Couple of things. First of all, Katy's going to have to go to Division I, which is not a place they've been very comfortable. Okay? There's that.
Yes, but I feel like my argument there was the landscape has shifted in such a way that I feel like it's not really any different and may in some cases be easier to get through.
Think about who they would have to go through in a semifinal to go through that. Think about a team like Westlake, okay?
Sure.
Or a team like Galena Park North Shore. So in consecutive weeks, they could have to play Galena Park North Shore, Austin Westlake,
right,
and then Allen.
Right.
Boom, boom, boom. I think they just have. What's that? It's a little tough, and that's if a team like Euless Trinity doesn't get there.
Right.
That's if a team from the right side of the bracket doesn't get in there. Maybe like Converse Judson.
Yeah.
With Julon Williams coming back. I understand the notion to pick Katy, and I think Katy is going to be a favorite to win a title in 6A. But as far as being comfortable betting my mortgage on it, I think 6A is just too loaded, especially in the Division I bracket.
Yeah. I think these are safer bets.
I think these are a little bit safer picks. With Denton Ryan in 5A Division 1, you'd have Bremond in 2A Division 2, and then Richland Springs in 1A Division 2. Those would be my three picks that I'm willing to put my mortgage on. I'm not actually willing to put my mortgage on.
No, he is. No. Just give me a call and we'll set that up.
No. I am very poor. Please do not do that.
Prepared for anyone to make a phone call on this.